6 back on the Tuesday Tunes at 2 on New Jersey today on the new Talk Radio 1450 WCTC, the voice of Central Jersey, 732-545-WCTC or 1-888-545-WCTC. That's a real fun song. What is that song there, Linda Chorney, that we're hearing? That's a fun tune. What is that?
Do it like that.
I like that, yeah. You could walk around the house kind of singing that one, right?
And
yeah.
who's singing that with you? Interesting voice.
That is Richie Blackwell.
I love Richie.
He was an original member of the E Street Band.
Wow.
As a percussionist.
Okay.
And he used to sit in with me, and occasionally we would just do these improv sessions because he's funny. And his MO is, how about ya? And he can actually sing a bit like Satchmo.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought Tom Waits sounds a little.
And that's kind of his hidden talent,
Right.
and he's kind of shy about it and doesn't realize how great he is. And on film, this guy is a star. We have the music video that was filmed in Asbury Park.
Yeah, talk about that.
Before Sandy.
Mhm.
I directed a...
Add that to the list. Add it to the list.
And so half of it's filmed there with Richie and I dancing around, and then the rest was filmed in Tucson, Arizona, in my parents' retirement community. And I've got all the people making out and dancing,
Awesome.
doing it while they can.
Cool stuff, yeah. Website, Facebook, how do people find out more about you and your music and everything you got going on? What's the best way?
I'm on the cover of Rolling Stone this month. Not.
I was going to say,
I'm working on it. I'm working on them doing a
next
review of the book.
Yeah.
I have to say, hey, Tris McCall, thank you very much for doing a review on my book today.
Nice.
Oh, I laughed very loud.
Very good.
www.lindachorney, LINDACHORNEY.com. You can buy the book there. You
Cool.
can buy my records there. And you can buy my t-shirts there. You
Excellent.
can see videos, play put it on.
We'll talk about a special show you have coming up tomorrow night. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But Calvin is calling from Marlboro and wants to say hello. Calvin, you're on New
Calvin,
Jersey
hi, Cal.
today. How are you?
Oh.
Hi, Cal. How you doing, honey? Thank you. You know. Oh.
Dead.
Yeah, 7 o'clock at the Watermark in Asbury Park. Everybody, it's free to get in with the little brackets with the purchase of the book.
Nice.
Of
Okay.
$20.
Okay. Cool. Good stuff. So an Animal House reference in the book. How about that?
There's a few actually.
Man, that's awesome.
Remember that little mobile that?
Yeah.
Okay, well I won't say the name of the mobile on this G-rated.
That's
We all
good.
know. We all know what it says.
Yeah.
We all know.
And I decided after the nomination I would drive through Nashville in that mobile
Oh,
and
no.
put my album on a giant megaphone.
Beautiful.
Kind of like the Blues Brothers did.
Right, right.
I think we have some Nashville people listening in, Linda.
Howdy.
Maybe
That's
say
awesome.
hi.
How you doing? How y'all doing down there?
Calvin, thanks for your call, man.
Thanks, Cal. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for checking in. You
Okay,
bet, my
bye,
friend.
bye.
Hi, Cal.
Thanks for the call to the Tuesday
Everybody
Tunes
loves
at 2,
Cal.
our good friend Calvin there.
Yeah.
2:30 on New Jersey today on the new Talk Radio WCTC. But Scott, if you're the guy, she's blaming you about the Grammy nomination. Walk us through the process. Did you say, hey, you know what, she needs to at least be considered? This was something you kind of took on your own and you're going to make this happen, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, nobody else was gonna run with the ball, and I just thought that it needed to go farther than it was
Okay.
intended to be. It was a passion project, but it was a great record. Great records should be recognized for what they are.
Of course.
There's a site called Grammy 365, which is adding a membership from NARIS, which is the National
It's not that anymore. They changed the name to the Academy, so don't worry about
the
it.
Music Academy, whatever,
Right.
the Grammy
Honey, you
organization.
forgot honey.
And for a $260 membership for 3 years, she becomes a voting member with the credentials that she
Okay.
established over her career. And she had a very long, heralded, self-produced career.
Sure, okay.
And then it just sat there for a very long time until we get these notifications, well, your deadline's approaching to submit. So we went to town and we submitted. a while later, it came back, and there she was, submitted to 8 categories, accepted in each one of the 8 categories.
Wow.
Great.
I put myself in for Song of the Year, Album of the Year. I was like, what the hell, I don't have a chance of any of these things anyway. But I did not put myself in Best New Artist. I just thought,
That's like the curse, is that like, sort of like the curse of,
not for that reason.
it's the Milli Vanilli category, right? I mean,
I was 50 years old and I had 6 albums. How could that make me
That's
Best
that's
New
true.
artist,
Artist?
right.
That's true,
Mhm.
right.
That's why I didn't submit in that one. Plus,
Gotcha.
I didn't want to sweep in all the
Yeah, of course.
categories.
Oh, understood.
We're being kind, really,
I
to the
was,
others.
you know.
Share some of the glory, of course.
Right. Exactly.
But you went ahead, you got this all submitted, and then sure enough, it comes back. Hey, you're a nominee.
It was a networking site, and it's something very akin to Facebook, but within the organization.
Yeah.
So we were adjusted to that world already, even that we were a little bit older for Facebook, but we understood what to do. And
Sure.
so she had to reach out for contacts. They had to accept contacts. And then she would just ask for consideration. Here is my work. Please consider this for a nomination in Americana, or just listen to the music. And the music was all uploaded to the site, so they had access to it.
Yeah.
So as she called them, peers with ears listened
Hmm.
and voted her in.
How about that?
Yeah, nobody knew me or my music. It was just my music, and that's what bothered me the most about the kerfuffle afterwards, is that it was only my music that got me in. That's it. Nothing else.
Well, it's American Idol is supposed to be only a singing contest, if you
Mhm.
look at it that way. So wouldn't you want your music to sort of represent you with a group like that, with the Grammy people?
I was so flattered and honored that so many people chose my album.
Yeah.
And I will be able to have that going for me for the rest of my life.
Forever. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's great.
That drinking game is going to go on for a long time.
Yeah.
Every time someone says Grammy nominee, right?
Yeah. Or if they forget to, I remind them.
Right. I remember we were texting back and forth and calling each other. Remember when you were at the Grammys?
Right.
That was really cool. I saved that, Linda.
Oh, cool.
Talk about that experience of
That was
being at
cool.
the actual event that night.
Mhm.
Well, first of all, my category and several other categories of brilliant music is during the day.
Unfairly, yeah, I agree.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking blues, jazz, classical, everything that's roots music. That is not necessarily the most profitable music, but is, I think, the best music.
Yeah, it doesn't get the 16-year-olds watching that the network wants.
Right.
But the real music fans and
Yeah.
music lovers are kind of
I mean,
pushed aside.
Yeah,
But
Tony Bennett was there during the day.
oh,
and
jeez,
it
right?
was just brilliant performances. And so I think it's sad that during the evening, it's like one of those commercials for a car where they say, so-and-so finances.
Bert, don't you do that a
Yeah.
little bit, Bert?
Do
On
what?
some- those types of
Win a
ads on the
Grammy?
car. No, no.
Oh, disclaimers?
That's
Oh,
you.
yeah.
That's what Bert does.
Yeah, so it's more like one of those, or the commercials for what are the male enhancement stuff?
Oh, right, right, yeah.
You know, it'll kill you or this or that. So it's unfortunate that that's not the focus, and I
I
believe the suits have the power to start feeding our children better music. When I grew up, I went back in my day in my rocking chair, I figured my rocker's gonna just wear a hole through the floor listening to Led Zeppelin the rest of my life.
Sure,
But
of
I mean,
course.
we grew up with great music. And the radio, mainstream radio, would play Anagata DeVita,
hmm
or a 7-minute long song.
Right.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Right.
my album has 6-minute, 7-minute long songs. I have a 15-minute symphony.
Wow.
And it wasn't about, oh, let's make a radio-friendly album. It was about, let's make music.
Yeah.
Let's have great solos. And I had so much fun making it, so I'm just so pleased that it was nominated.
Things are so much more commercial and packaged. There's a formula
There's
that
an
you
X.
need to
Exactly.
conform to now. You're right. And it was about the music, and it was a more open time. So that's why there's music from that time that's unforgettable,
Mhm.
because it was really about the music then.
Yeah,
and
it
And it
was.
stands on its own. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
and DJs could play what they wanted. It wasn't a
Absolutely.
program director with a, me, I'm putting this in now.
Those were the
Mhm.
days, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Those were the
I love that song.
days.
It's nice.
I have
Yeah.
to say, Linda collected some of the best musicians available in this area. and beyond.
Yeah, that's true. Right here in our backyard, besides Richie Blackwell, Arlen Filas,
Mm.
Ralph Notaro played mandolin, but then I had, for example, I was just going to bring up, you were talking about, man, that was music. I just watched the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame special on HBO.
Rush, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
talk about a show.
Yeah.
That was a show with unbelievable music, and in fact, Will Lee was the
Mm.
bass player for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's bass player on half of my
He's
album.
awesome.
Really?
He's
Wow.
awesome,
Yeah, and we sang together on the album too. He's just a wonderful guy, and in fact,
Mhm.
if I may read, he quotes on the back of my book. The chapter about our recording session was hilarious. Linda's writing style is as unique as her music. I dig it. I was thrilled for her nomination, and now I'm just as psyched about the book. Great read. Colorful, moving, and funny.
Yeah.
Will Lee.
Wow, on the back cover. That's
Yeah.
like
Well, that's the only quote I had.
that's prize
so
real
far.
estate. So to be on the back cover of the
Second
book
book.
with a quote. So
Next
that's
book, Linda.
Will
That's
is-
cool.
Will's
But
an
Linda,
awesome
you know,
guy.
you
Yeah,
mentioned, you know, you loved Led Zeppelin. Obviously, the Stones were big. What other, you know, obviously classic rock background.
Yeah.
What other bands would you say kind of inspired you to your current style?
But this is an interesting question because I was actually asked this last year. Part of the book talks about how the press sometimes misinterprets or what's the word I'm using? Oh, I hate it when I forget a word. Don't you hate
Okay,
that?
we can help
Give us
you.
a hint. Give us a
Yeah,
hint.
yeah.
Starts
Sounds like
with. Sounds like.
like-
Paraphrase.
Okay.
They paraphrase what you say and sometimes completely change the
Lose it.
meaning.
Yeah.
On this particular album, it's the first time I did any cover songs. One was a Stones tune, one was a Beatles tune, I'm
Right.
Only Sleeping,
nice.
and the third one is Led Zeppelin, Going to
Great,
California.
I love
Wow.
that song so
Okay.
much, yeah.
And when I was interviewed, they asked me, you know, who were your influences, and I said, well, my production taste and what I was weaned on was Beatles and the Stones and all that, and that was interpreted in one article in a major publication to say Chorney aligns herself with the Stones and the Beatles.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my
Holy cow.
God, they're gonna think I'm some kind of.
And they put you in a box, you know.
Yeah,
we don't do
But
that.
it just made me sound like I was comparing myself to
Exactly.
them, which I could never do. I mean,
Exactly.
but okay, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Steely Dan.
Yeah.
love it.
Now, for me, what I consider newer music would be Pearl Jam,
Mhm.
Nirvana. You know, those I listened to them when they came out. I loved the Counting Crows when they came
Great
out. I was like,
music. Oh,
Ben Harper.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh wow, here's some great music coming out. I liked the Police when they
Yeah.
came out. Tom Petty, who now is considered older, but he kind of break out in the '80s more or less.
Yeah.
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 Thereabouts,
Late
yeah.
70s,
Yeah.
80s, yeah.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
was post classic rock, but he's now become classic rock.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is really my genre, and you're not hearing. There's so much great music out here now that you're not hearing on mainstream radio.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
mean,
that's one of the things we try to
That's what we're
accomplish
doing
on
in
this
Tuesday
show.
Tunes at
You know,
2.
the
Yeah,
great, just
that's
the
what
great
this-
Jersey
yeah,
and beyond
that's
sort
all
of
about.
artists like yourself. So
oh,
who have great music. So
yeah, I think you're having Dave Mason,
Dave Mason
on your
is
show.
In the works,
2
in the
weeks.
works,
His
yeah,
work
yeah.
is confirmed already.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and-
he's coming on.
I opened for him
Couple weeks.
twice
Nice.
Mhm.
years ago in the Hamptons. In the
Wow.
Hamptons.
May I interject for a minute? Do
course.
yourself a favor. Bring in this great talent, Arlen Filas.
Oh,
he's
we've
been
had
there.
one.
Oh, yeah.
He's a
He's
Tuesday
amazing, yeah.
Tunes guy.
And he's
Yeah.
got an
Terrific guy.
amazing story too.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
album.
He should be a Grammy considered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that
agree
now that
completely.
I blew it for everybody.
Oh, no,
because
please.
they went ahead and changed the rules. You know how I said I was the ball that got through the Buckners of the industry? Well, they figured out a way to get a bigger glove and close those little teeny gaps that there's a possibility to get through as a complete independent artist.
So you rewrote the rule book at the same time.
I
You did.
Let's
you
stir
really
up a little
did.
trouble
The
again,
Linda-
Scott. Come on.
The Linda Chorney rule, of course.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
sense that's been a theme your whole life, though, Linda.
Oh yeah.
All right, 2:40 on New
troublemaker.
Jersey Today on the New Talk Radio WCTC. We'll come back with much more with Linda Chorney, and she'll be with us until 3 o'clock. We got our contest coming up as well. Bert's Jersey Know-It-All Trivia, your chance to win the lottery tickets and the baseball tickets as well. We'll give that away coming up a little bit later on this hour. We've got our calendar events coming up next, and much more with Linda Chorney here on a very special Tuesday Tunes at 2 on New Jersey Today.
Which one did you eat?